Here's to the ladies, the fair and the weak. Fair they are, we'll all admit. But who dares call them weak? Our modern girls play as hard and with as much vitality and stamina as any man. How do they do it? Where do they find all that energy? That seemingly inexhaustible store of pep and ginger?
Warning, for those of you particularly frustrated by entirely anecdotal evidence in the face of empirical data, this episode may prove uniquely meme-worthy.
My name is Daisy and I've been raped.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so are you really going to sit on my campus and tell me that rape culture is a myth today?
Yes.
I feel like I need to change your mind because...
Why?
Have you ever been raped?
I've not been raped.
Well, then I mean, can I change your mind by saying I've been raped and a good majority of my friends have been raped?
Wait a minute!
A good majority of my friends have been raped.
Oh my.
No, that wouldn't be a convincing argument. I
Do you think rape culture is a myth?
Yes.
Do you think rape culture is a myth?
Yes. Proportionally to other crimes, rapists are convicted at about the same rate as armed robbers, for example. Do we have an armed robbery culture? Rape is a horrible, terrible, heinous crime.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that rape culture, I'm honestly not talking about empirical data at all, and I don't think we should look at it as empirical data because...
A few moments later.
None of what you've just said is correct. Does the word hubris mean anything to you?
No, it doesn't. Thank you.
The fact that did you really think that I didn't know who Brett Kavanaugh was?
I really didn't, honestly. At this point, I'm unsure what you actually know.
Right. Yeah. The whole reason was I was hoping for you to sit down, and you see now, if you go back, every single thing I told you I didn't know, because I wanted you to explain to me. You've explained enough. You've presented no evidence or data. The only time you've addressed evidence or data is saying that it's bullshit to use your words and it doesn't matter. The amount of rapes matter. The conviction rates matter. What we do with rapists matters. And when you come out and you say we live in a rape culture, and you compare Dr. Christine Ford's allegations, let's say we have no idea whether they're true or not. Zero evidence whatsoever from 35 years ago. You can't run an investigation about who, what, when, where, or why. We have none of it. To then use that as a springboard to say that we live in a rape culture, I think is intellectually disingenuous, and I think it does a great disservice to people who've actually been the victim of a horrible crime. How can you sit here...
This is all, these statistics are all 100% correct.
No.
And who the hell let you back on this campus?
What's wrong with you?
It's a public sidewalk.
So nobody invited you here?
You can't just sit.
Officers, if nobody invited him here, can we ask him to leave this campus?
He needs to leave.
Question.
That would be awesome. But why is he allowed on our campus if this isn't even an organized event?
Part of this?
No, I am not part of this event.
Okay, so you're free to go anytime. You don't have to actually.
Yeah, I know, but if he's gonna sit here and say that rape culture is a myth, then somebody needs to sit here and say.
We're going to deal with that, but you're not helping the situation by adding to it. So adding him, no, it's
By adding to it, I added to rape culture by getting raped.
Whatever you need us to do.
You're not mad.
I understand.
So if I called you and said somebody raped me, you wouldn't be mad?
But that's
Well,
not
you
what's
just
happening.
twisted my words, and I didn't say that.
Officer, what
Officer,
is
we want to work with you.
I did not say I didn't have that.
I've been raped on your campus, sir.
Be gone, fuck!
My street name is Magnitude of Occupy LA, also known as Shut the Up. It's 3 o'clock in the goddamn morning. He hacked WikiLeaks in October of 2012 for the location of the military massive amount of drones and the chemical and the chemtrail exposure. I'm reaching out to anyone that is willing to help me expose what corruption is going on with our government.
Can you tell me about your hat?
It's my pussycat.
Oh, wow, it's long.
She got ears with pockets.
A writing guide at Purdue University, accredited school, apparently tells students to avoid words like mailman and mankind in order to have, quote, non-sexist, non-biased writing. Kathy Aru is founder and publisher of Catalina Magazine, and we think she agrees. And she joins us tonight. Kathy, it's great to see you.
Hi, good to see you.
I got to say, there's kind of a basic irony here. I mean, you're lecturing us about sexism while you're sitting right now in Manhattan.
Manhattan. We need to rename the city then. The Big Apple. The Big Apple would be less offensive. So I feel that I'm sitting in the Big Apple, not Manhattan.
Okay, but why stop there? Why should the post office deliver mail?
I know. Well, it's spelled M-A-I-L, so that's okay. If it's M-A-L-E, then there's a problem.
Homonyms count, and this applies to email too, because it's not about spelling, it's about being gender inclusive.
Right.
And male is offensive. We've just learned that. So.
Well, no, I don't think they're including that, but they are saying that society has changed and times are changing, and we don't want to be offensive in our language. And they're trying to be non-sexist and non-biased, and that means trying to take the word man out. So instead of man-made, it would be synthetic. So instead of mailman, it would be mail carrier. So there's many ways to go around it. Instead of humanity, you should say people.
But mail carrier still has mail in it. So you haven't, it's kind of a fake, but that's a Dodge.
So package carrier.
Well,
we can come up with so many other terms that are less offensive. Yeah.
You might still offend dyslexics. You can change a vowel, but it sounds the same. It has that dreaded word that sends people shrieking for their safe spaces, mail.
Well, they're saying man. Man is the word that they're trying to avoid. They're saying that the word man is associated with adult men as opposed to just humanity or humans. So they're trying to avoid the word man. So if we can eliminate that word, then things would be much better and people would be less offended.
Well, what if you lived in Manchester, Vermont?
Well, they might have to change the name of the city if people agree with Purdue University.
What?
And Purdue University found that things need to be updated, and they updated their writing guide to take out these words that apparently are offending certain groups of people.
Okay, so just to make sure I understand the rule, if something offends somebody, even if you've never met that person personally, you have to change it. So doesn't that mean that a small group of super unhappy people get to control what the rest of us say and think?
Well, perhaps they're ahead of their time. Maybe this is something that is offending a small group, but the group's going to get larger, and times are changing, and our language is dynamic. Webster keeps adding new words in the dictionary, so our language needs to change. And a term that used to be non-offensive, like man-made and mailman, now needs to be changed.
Well, I get that. I guess the question for me is who gets to decide what changes and what doesn't. So, for example, I think I've now decided that the most offensive word in the language is college professor.
Oh.
Okay? Because to me that connotes dumbness and misuse of power and tenure, right? And mediocrity. So maybe I'd like to say no one can use that word ever again in my presence because it offends me. Would that fly? Could I do that? Could I pull it off?
Well, if you have a writing guide, perhaps, and you put that out there and people agree with you, then yeah, maybe that would fly.
Did I just hear someone use a microaggression?